March Madness is upon us, and my husband loves sports, which makes our relationship work really well because anytime he's like on a sports kick, that means I get to have a reading kick. And we get to spend the same space with each other, but doing things that we love. And so I had this thought last night because March Madness starts today was why don't I do like a read-a-thon, March Madness style, but for books? Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. I put together a stack of books that I want to read first and take you along the journey with me to my own version of March Madness. All right, so the first book, which is on my Kindle, because if you've ever done a read-a-thon with me before, you know I am a huge proponent of multiple formats books. Like if you're doing a read-a-thon, you need to have an ebook, an audiobook, a physical book, and I also think that you should have a graphic novel chapter, like your regular chapter books. And I personally like to add in poetry as well because I like to read poetry. So for my ebook, this is my Kindle cover, I'm going to be reading Don't Be a Drag by Skye Quinlan. This is a NetGalley ARC that I received, and it looks like a cute romance is what I'm hoping for. So that will be my ebook. And then my audiobook that I am going to be reading is called Me Moth by Amber McBride. I've read one book by Amber McBride before and absolutely loved it. It was We Are All So Good at Smiling. So this one has been on my radar since I finished that book. And this, all I know about it is that it is a young adult novel written in verse. So this is an audiobook and my poetry goals. All right. Empire of the Damned. This is going to be the first physical book that I really focus with. So I've already started this one. I am about 80 pages in, and I got to meet Jay Kristoff for the first time last Friday. So about a week ago, I got to meet Jay Kristoff at his Dallas stop for his US tour for Empire of the Damned. We are in Dallas. And we're going to Jay Kristoff's event for Empire of the Damned. I am so excited. All right, I started this on the way home for Dallas and totally got caught away and just forgot to record any of my reading in the car. But after the event in Dallas, I got my copy. I got it signed and personalized by Jay. That was so awesome. It says deeds, not words. It was so cool and so epic. I've been a fan of Jay's books for a long time. So anyways, I am thoroughly enjoying this one, but I haven't had as much time to read it this week as I wanted to. So this will be my focus as far as the physical book for this readathon. All right, and then the rest of the stack are ones that I want to get to, and I don't know what order. I like to have a TBR, but then I also like to mood read or like mix things in as I go. I'm also a poly reader, so I will absolutely be mixing and matching before we go. So like I may not finish this one before I start another one, but then I'm going to come back to this one. I know this is crazy. Some people who aren't poly readers are like, how do you do that? How do you keep all the stories straight in your head? Well, what I do is I mix up my genres and I kind of explain it to people like, if you watch multiple TV shows, how do you keep those straight in your head? Well, you're like, well, Game of Thrones is completely different from Suits. Like, that's how I keep them different. That's my hack. That's what I do. So, mixing up the genres. All right, I just got this book from my anniversary book haul, and this is Everybody Looking by Candace Ilo. This is another young adult novel in verse, so I probably won't start this one until I finish the audiobook. I was thinking, am I going to do that? We'll see. That's my plan. I probably won't start this one until I finish the other audiobook since they are similar, but I have this book on deck because I want to read it. And then I have The Woodland Hedgehog by Kylan Mogg. Kylan is one of my favorite people. I absolutely adore him. This is his third children's book that he published, and he just mailed me a copy, and it looks so cute. Here's a little sneak peek inside. So anyways, I love Kylan. I love to review children's books as well. So I will be reading this one this week. I'll probably read this one pretty early into the Read-A-Thon. Let's be honest. All right, now for my graphic novel, because I love graphic novels and mixing those in, especially with readathons. This is The OK Witch by Emma Steinkellner. So for my anniversary book haul that I did, I actually bought a graphic novel and I didn't realize it was the second book of the series. Whoops. So this is book 1, Compliments of the Library. Thank you, library. So I want to read this one so then I can read the one that I bought and also know if I need to go buy this one when I'm done. So this will be the graphic novel that I have. And then last but not least for this initial lineup, I do expect my lineups to maybe change as we go. I don't know exactly how long March Madness really goes for. So we'll just start here and just see where this journey takes us. So this one I've had from the library for a while. It's called Big Tree by Brian Selznick. I saw Brian Selznick talk on a panel at the North Texas Teen Book Festival that I went to last year, I think it was. And he was on like a graphic novel illustration panel that we tried to take the kids to get them excited because they like graphic novels. And I was really intrigued with him. So I read his 2 other books. I cannot remember their names. I will put them up on the screen because I am blanking on them right now. Anyways, I read 2 of his other books last year and absolutely loved them. His books are different and they are told with a mixture of like full page sketches that he does and then text as well. It is very clever formatting that he does for his book. So this is a huge book, but it has tons of illustrations in it as well as a story. So anyways, I loved the 2 that I read, and this one has been on my TBR since I finished those. So I'll be looking forward to this. Even though it is a really big book, I expect once I start this one, I'll probably finish it fairly quickly. His last ones I think I read in a single sitting. So that's a possibility there. I'm adding this in for mood reading possibilities. So here we have it. My glorious TBR. See if I can get my audiobook. Okay. And we're ready to kick off this March Madness Read-A-Thon. And I'm excited. Oh, another book I will be reading some. So I have a professional beta reading service where I offer basically manuscript critiques to authors and writers who need feedback from an avid reader who's very familiar with a wide range of genre and the craft of storytelling. It's called Beta Reading Services. And I am working on a project right now. So it's confidential, so I can't tell you anything about it. But I did start it this week. So I will be spending some of my readathon hours reading that book at my computer. Okay, that's it. That's what we're starting with. And let's get into some March Madness. We made it. Day 2 of the March Madness Readathon that I am doing. So yesterday I read for 1 hour 56 minutes. Day 1. I am using an app called Forest. And my husband uses this all the time to like track his productivity. So I was like, I'm going to use this to track my reading. It's really cute. So anyways, that's going to be how I'm going to keep up with my total time spent. So about 2 hours for day one. Not bad. I finished The Woodland Hedgehog. This was, obviously just a very quick read. It's so cute. I'm going to show you one of my favorite pictures from it. It's about this little hedgehog, and he doesn't love the way he looks. And the overall message of this one is to realize that beauty comes from within. I love that message for kids. But look how cute this little hedgehog is. He rolls around and stuff and sticks it to his little bristles of the seasons. So this one really explores seasons as well. This was so cute. So I finished this one yesterday, which was on my list. I also decided like March Madness has brackets. So like I feel like I need to have brackets for my Read-A-Thon. So I'm going to be using this bracket. And every time I finish a book, I'm going to put it on there, and then when I have two up against each other, I'll pick which one's my favorite to go on to the next round and so forth. So hopefully I will fill this bracket up. I wasn't going to do 64 teams like March Madness because I know myself and I don't think I can finish that many books. We're going to start with this 8, and then if I need to do a second bracket, we can, but we'll just start here with this 8. So I finished The Woodland Hedgehog yesterday. I read about a chapter of Empire of the Damned, but I was doing a lot of family stuff, work stuff, so I wasn't able to sit and read as much as I wanted to yesterday. I'm really looking forward to doing that more today and specifically tomorrow because I don't have a lot on my schedule for tomorrow, but I do have a few things I need to get done today. I also started my audiobook and I did Me Moth or Moth Me. I really don't know which way to say the title of this one because I've seen it different places. So it's Me Moth or Moth Me. The audiobook is narrated by the author, which is a huge bonus, especially for poetry books or books in verse like this one is. Hi, Mimosa. I always enjoy when the author decides to narrate those themselves because it's just more powerful and it's like spoken word poetry. I love that. Anyways, I started that one on audio yesterday. I will finish it today because I think I have less than an hour left. It was a very quick audio book. So I will continue reading that one. It's really, really addictive. It's one of those that's just emotionally gripping that like I was sitting there and saying to myself, I'm not in the mood to read Empire of the Damned, though I'm loving that book because this one has completely captured me and I just like cannot stop listening to it. It's so good. So I didn't anticipate to finish that one as quick, but I will be finishing that one today. That was a big portion of my reading time yesterday was that book. And yeah, that's most of the plans for the day. So I'm going to knock out some of the things on my to-do list so that I can chill and read for the rest of the afternoon. It's kind of rainy here today, so it's really like cozy, grab a blanket, sit next to the window kind of vibe. Welcome to day 3 of the March Madness Read-A-Thon. I read for about 4 hours yesterday, so a little bit more every day. My total time is up to 6 hours of reading now. I have finished 2 books. I finished The Woodland Hedgehog and I finished the poetry book I was reading, that novel in verse, which was called Me Moth by Amber McBride. That was so good. I didn't anticipate that one being as all-consuming as it was. When I started it, I didn't want to read anything else but it, and that really got my focus. So I finished that yesterday. It was wonderful. It's essentially about a girl who is a teenager and her whole family is in a car accident and she is the sole survivor, and then she's living with her aunt. And it focuses a lot on her survivor's guilt and her grief. And then she meets this boy and they develop a friendship together. And we realize that he has some own struggles of his own, which is his stepdad abuses him. It's very sad. There are some really heavy themes in all of this. And these two strike a friendship and they end up running away together to go see his father, his biological father, who lives in a different state, and their road trip and their discovery. And that's like the gist of the whole book. There's also some really cool themes about root magic and hoodoo magic, as well as cultural elements of the Navajo tribe, because that's what his ethnicity is. So anyways, it just had those really, really interesting elements to it that makes the book feel really whole. I thought the middle lagged just a tiny bit for me, and I was like, man, I don't know if it'll end up being a 5-star because it was dragging just a little bit around the road trip aspect of it. But the ending was crazy. The ending just had me speechless, I guess. It was so good. So anyways, 5 stars. Absolutely. That ending was crazy. Amber McBride has secured a spot as one of my favorite authors. I will read anything she writes. Matter of fact, I need to go look and see if there's any other books on her backlog that I have not read, because the 2 books I've read by her, this one, which is called Me Moth, and the other one I've read before, which was We Are All So Good at Smiling. Those are both just fantastic books. So anyways, that was my day yesterday. I was reading that for the first part of the day, and then I am still reading Empire of the Damned. So that book is sectioned out. Instead of parts, it's sectioned into books. So I've officially made it to book 2 of Empire of the Damned, and things are getting good. I feel like we've just kind of hit the setup for things to project into the next part of the book. I guess that's how he designed it, so that makes sense that that's how it feels. Anyways, I'm loving that one. I do have that one on audio as well as hardback, so I'll probably not start another audiobook and focus solely on Empire of the Damned and flip between the 2 formats I have so that I can really immerse myself in that one. So I am making a bracket because March Madness basketball has brackets, so I want to have a bracket. So I'm going to put my bracket up here. I finished 2 books, and so now they battled against each other, and moving on to the next round for me will be Me Moth, because that one just blew my mind. So that's our first round 2 book. So I need to finish Empire of the Damned and another one so that I can see who is going to battle against Me Moth. So I guess it's good time to get to reading. Okay, I've spent about an hour reading Empire of the Damned. Things are getting juicy. I'm really eager to read the next 3 chapters because I'm doing a buddy read with some of the bookkeepers community, and someone had just dropped a comment in there for 3 chapters from where I'm at. So I'm excited to get there so I can read what their comment is. But I am going to pause because since I've read an hour of this one, I want to do some beta reading for the afternoon so I can feel a little productive with that part of my business. I am going to track my time for that because it is still reading, but I won't be able to talk much about that book because, like I said, it's confidential. So good. All right, Derek is headed to the city to see Cat Williams' comedy show tonight.
I've never played Little Rock, Arkansas, nigga, in all my 32 years of doing goddamn entertainment. Ladies,
which is great news for me because that means I have a lot of uninterrupted reading time while he's gone. The kids have their Wi-Fi, they have snacks, so they probably won't need me. And I'm ready. I got my pajamas on, got comfy, cozy. I made some chai. I have Empire of the Damned that I'm going to be working on primarily. I do have Big Tree just in case I feel like mixing it up in the middle of this, but I'm about to spend several hours in my cozy little reading corner. And let's go. March Madness Read-A-Thon. Well, I had to get up for a refill of tea and supervise my 13-year-old making some ramen for himself. And we have a little battle of the kitties happening here. Fishy is very upset that Mimosa got in on this cuddle. He's been growling. But you know, this is what happens when you are a cat lady and a book lady. You got cats and books and gotta figure out a way to make everyone happy. So I'm gonna see if I can read while holding them. See how this goes. I just hit book 3 in Empire of the Damned. I have about 40 minutes before I need to do bedtime stuff with the kids, so I'm going to keep reading and then take a short break to get them in bed and then get back to it. Derek's comedy show just started, so I've still got several hours left to go. Alright, I am into book 3 of Empire of the Damned, and I am at chapter 6. Things are getting kind of dark. Not just outside, it is dark outside. Yeah, I don't love animal deaths in books. It really bothers me. And Jay Kristoff has been known to do this before. He kills horses. If you don't know, that's something that happens in his books. Horses are collateral damage a lot of time. So I was expecting that, but there was a dog death in here that made me very sad. And then the brutality of this new vampire family that we're seeing in this book, the Devox, they are just brutal. Like, not only to like the animal death, but like to the humans as well. I mean, I guess all vampires are terrible in the sense that they, feed on humans, but this is like the most villainy of villain vampires, the worst of the worst. Anyways, it's getting kind of heavy. I have spent several hours in this book today. I still enjoy the story. I am going to keep reading it, but I think I'm going to need to take a break for the rest of the night because I really don't want these images all in my head. So yeah. Based on what time it is, it's 11:12 here. I think Derek's show should be ending, and then he has about an hour drive home. So I probably have about another hour or so before he gets here, and that'll be closing up my reading for the night because I'll be tired and wanting to hang out with him. So anyways, we're going to set Empire of the Damned aside just for tonight. We will resume tomorrow. I think I'm going to read Big Tree. This is supposed to be a story about some seeds that get separated from their mother, which I'm guessing is a tree. It sounds totally random, but I like Brian Selznick books. He is known to write stories that have a mixture of illustrations, which he draws, as well as text. So for example, another book that I've read of his, the first part of the book was all images, but it told a story. And then the second half of the book was another character's POV, only written with text, words like a usual book is. And then you see how the two connect. But it's just brilliant. He puts together books with illustrations and stories and written text in a way that's just ingenuous, really. I love it. So it's always an adventure. This one, glancing at it, looks like it's a mixture of illustrations with pages of text between. So, it's a big book. But let's see how much of it we can get read before Derek gets home. The end. Oh my gosh, I didn't know if I would finish it before he got home, but I did. Okay, so this actually was a little sad at the beginning because the mother dies. The mother tree dies. And her two little seedlings, a brother and a sister seed, are sent on their journey. And we follow their journey throughout the whole book. It was really sweet. This is very cute. You see dinosaurs in here. It's very informational for kids, so this is considered a middle grade reading level. But everything in it is really based on science. At the end of the book, it had a section about, it was just an afterword, but it says the science, and everything in the story you just read is based on scientific fact. And then it goes on to explain the different things in the story and what they really were. So for example, the mother tree is warned that danger is coming from the ambassadors, and the ambassadors are actually fungi, mushrooms. And mushrooms have a underground network that connects to trees in a forest that allow them to talk to each other and to all the other plants as well. So that is just one of the many examples of characters in the book that are actually related to science. So that was really neat. So it's a little sad, but very heartwarming, and it has a happy ending, and it's very uplifting, motivating as well. Great. So finished this book and made a lot of progress of Empire of the Dam today. March Madness Read-A-Thon Day 4. So to recap yesterday, I did some beta reading. I read a lot of Empire of the Damned. I started and finished Big Tree. And then in bed last night, I wanted to read just a little bit more because I was still very much awake. So I went ahead and started the ebook, Don't Be a Drag. I only made it maybe 2 chapters into that one before I finally started to relax and went to bed. So I wrapped up. My total time so far for the readathon is up to 13 hours, roughly. Killing it, having tons of fun. So today is my last day of reading, and then I'm going to take a break as far as the readathon. I mean, I'll probably still read some this week, but it'll just be like as I have free time. I anticipate being busy because school starts back and just life in general. So I'm not going to keep up with my reading time until the games start back on Thursday. And that's my plan. So today I am going to do a little bit of beta reading to start off. Then I think I'm going to focus on a new audiobook, A Fate Inked in Blood. This is Live with Coco and Chi book club pick for March. And I'm Coco, so I'm the host. And I have not started yet. Book club is 6 days away, so it is time for me to get on that. So I am going to be doing the audiobook of that today, probably exclusively. We'll see. I might still squeeze in some more Empire of the Damned, or maybe some of that ebook for Don't Be a Drag later this evening. I'm not sure. We're just gonna see where the day takes us, but that is my plan for reading today. So I'd love to see what my total time can be for this first weekend of March Madness. Let's get to it. We are officially back. It's Thursday, week 2, March Madness, which means I get to resume my readathon. I have been reading the past few days, but just when I've had time, school books with my kiddo, and then a little bit in the evenings for myself, but not as much as I want. So, quick recap. I ended day 4 of the Read-A-Thon, which was last Sunday. I ended that at 15 hours and 39 minutes. Not bad, not bad. I'm excited to see how much more we can do, you know? Let's go more. So where I'm at with my books is I am working on A Fate Inked in Blood. I'm about 60% into that one, and I have to finish it by Saturday because that is book club night and I am the host of the book club, so I've got to get that finished. And I'm also going to resume Empire of the Damned. You know, I kind of put it in timeout because it was getting a little intense, but feeling ready to bring it back. So the focus, Fate Inked in Blood. Then I'm going to resume Empire of the Damned. And then who knows where we get. I still have these 2 books that I'm thinking about starting at some point. My library books got delivered today, so I have a whole bunch of new books as well. I may have also gotten another NetGalley book in. We're just going to see where this takes us. So, time to get reading. All right, another day. It is beautiful today, so about to go hiking. The plan is to finish A Fate Inked in Blood because today is Friday and book club is tomorrow. So I'm going to finish that today. I don't have much left of it, and then resume Empire of the Damned some more. I finished up yesterday. Looking at my update here. End of day 5, which was yesterday, I was at 22 hours and 41 minutes. Hoping we can break that 24-hour mark today. We do have a birthday party to go to this evening for my niece. So most of the reading today will probably be nighttime reading. So we're going to go enjoy some sunshine first. But looking forward to a weekend of books. We are on day 8 of the Read-A-Thon. This weekend has not been great as far as clocking hours for reading. I have been kind of busy with just family stuff and spending time with the kids and my niece's birthday, and I just have not logged that many hours of reading this weekend, but I'm hoping to make up for that today because I've cleared my schedule to read. So to recap, on Friday, I read for about an hour. My total time was 23 hours, 53 minutes. And then I read for about an hour on Saturday as well, bringing my time to 25 hours and 6 minutes. I mostly did audiobook for A Fate Inked in Blood, which I finished. And I don't know if I ever told you guys basically what that book was about, but it's a Viking inspired adult romantasy series by Danielle Jensen. And essentially, the main character is gifted with powers from the gods. She has God's blood in her, and she's also prophesized to essentially whoever controls her will rule the land, essentially. So it's about her being discovered and married to like the regional leader who now wants to be king. So very Viking heavy. If you like the Viking show, you'll probably enjoy this book. Yeah. So I ended up rating it 3.75 because it had some aspects to it that were really predictable. So I knocked off points for that. And then there were some aspects to it that just did not line up with what I know Vikings to be. Some of the decisions that characters made in it just didn't work for me because I was like, no way a Viking would do that, so to speak. So anyways, it was a fun book. I will continue the series and read the next one. We have a full book club discussion that we did last night. So if you want to pop over to my Instagram, you can watch the whole discussion with it. But we had ratings from everything as low as 2.5 stars up to 5 stars with book club members. So it was a lively discussion and lots of different opinions on the book and what we liked and what we didn't like. So if you want spoilers and details, that's where you can check that out at. So I mostly read that, and then I also read some of my ebook, Don't Be a Drag. This one's cute so far. It's not overly gripping, so it's easy for me to kind of sit down and walk away from, but it's very easy to get lost in as well. So I started this one, and it's about a teenage girl who's from Texas, and she goes to New York City to stay with her brother for the summer. He is a drag queen in New York City, which is pretty fun. And this story is, I think it's going to be about her self-discovery maybe, or how she's overcoming some of her own anxiety. She's got some really intense social anxiety issues that she is struggling through, and she is going to be entering into a drag king contest. That's about as much as I know so far. I'm only about 20% into it, so it's cute. But that's the only things I've been reading this weekend. So my plans today are, first up, I'm going to do some beta reading and get caught up on what I need to do for my schedule on that. So that's how I'm going to kick it off today. And then I'm also going to be reading Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. This is my son's next selection for our language arts buddy read that we do for homeschool. He started it last week, and I told him I couldn't start it yet because I didn't want it to mix up with A Fate Inked in Blood. But now that I'm finished with that, book club's over, I'm ready to jump into it. So I will be reading that book today and get caught up to wherever he's at. And then I'm going to really go hard on Empire of the Damned this week. I really want to make a big chunk into that book and get close to the end, if not to the end, before this read-a-thon is over. So those are my main focuses, and I am really excited for a day of reading. Another day for the March Madness Read-A-Thon. It is technically April 1st, but March Madness is still going, so we're still going, and we're going to keep calling it that. And today is kind of a bonus day. So today is Monday, so typically the games are over for the week, but my husband told me he's watching one of the women's basketball games tonight that he's really excited about. So I was like, well, if you're getting a bonus game, I'm going to get a bonus day for reading, and here we are. So yesterday I left off, let me see, I finished with 32 hours on day 8 yesterday. So I did get a ton of reading in, which is exactly what I wanted to do. And I focused on the things I told you I was going to. Beta reading. I caught up to my son in Norse mythology. I'm about 100 pages into that one. And I spent a lot of time in Empire of the Damned. I know yesterday I told you that I was going to focus on finishing Empire of the Damned, but I changed my mind. Just a little bit. I'm still going to read that, but since today is a bonus day, I'm going to read some bonus books because there is a audiobook that I am dying to read called Thick with Trouble by Amber McBride. You guys already know because I read a book during this read-a-thon. I'm just obsessed with her, and I did not know she released a collection of poetry this year, which is Thick with Trouble, and the audiobook's available on Spotify if you're a Spotify premium member, which I am. And this year I'm trying to use I'm trying to take advantage of that because you get 15 hours of free audiobooks every month. And if you don't use it, you lose it. And anyways, if I can't get something through the library, then I'm trying to use that Spotify and take advantage of that as much as possible. This is on there. Anyway, it's a very short audiobook. I think it's less than 2 hours long. It's narrated by her. And yes, that's on my TBR today. So I think I want to read that. And then these other two books I told you about at the beginning, sliding around here. So Everybody Looking by Candace Ilo, which is a young adult novel in verse, and the OK Witch graphic novel. I think these would both be quick reads. So I'm going to see if I can read as many of these 3 books today as possible for my bonus Read-A-Thon day. And then we will get back to Empire of the Damned because this weekend is the final games, I think. I'm not great at keeping up with that. But let's continue to add to my March Madness book bracket and let's see if we can get some more books on there. I'd like to fill up that bracket as much as possible, and I do want to finish Empire of the Damned. That all said, let's get this going and see what we can do. We are back to the Read-A-Thon. It's the weekend again. It is Friday night. So to recap on where I left off, the last day was day 9, and I stopped at 35 and a half total hours for day 9. So that was my bonus day this last Monday, and I ended up with the worst migraine ever that day and could only lay in a dark room. But I was able to put on an audiobook, so I very softly listened to Thick with Trouble by Amber McBride because this was on Spotify and I got to use my Spotify hours to listen to that. It was less than 2 hours and it was narrated by the author, which I always love, and it was so soothing to listen to, especially like while I was feeling terrible. So I started and finished that on Monday. Absolutely loved it. It is a collection of poetry, her first published collection of poetry outside of her novels and verse. And it focuses on Southern Black womanhood. And the poems really transcend time, and you have things that feel from older time periods up to current and modern day experiences of the Black woman. It was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. I plan on buying a copy for my shelf. I already have it on my wish list of a book I need to own because it was just beautiful. I loved that you see some of Amber's traditional style with some of her poems where she tells stories in verse where multiple poems kind of group together to be a story, and is very narrative and lyrical in style. But then she also has traditional poems in the sense of how they are structured and spoken as well. So it was just a beautiful collection that I adored, and definitely recommend if you like poetry, and even if you don't, try the audio, give it a shot. I think you might like it. So that is really all that I was able to do with my bonus day, unfortunately, because of that migraine that hit in the late afternoon. But here we are today, Friday, day 10. We only have 4 days left. So today, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Not many. This readathon has been so fun. My focus is Empire of the Damned. Look at that. I do not have much left of this, so I think it's reasonable to assume, hope, goal that I can finish this. I also have the audiobook plus this physical copy to kind of help me get that time in, and then we will go from there. But this is the one I'm focused on. I'm really excited with where the story is at so far. Also, my friend Erica is doing a bookkeeper's read-a-thon this weekend, so I will have like the moral support of the bookkeepers community as the group is doing a read-a-thon. I think I'm going to get a lot of time in this week. So I am looking to see what book I'm inside this. Okay, I am at book 5, Crumbling to Ash, and I'm about 7 chapters into that book. So things are getting juicy, and I am here for it. Let's get to reading. Day 10 wrapped up with 39 and a half hours. It is getting up there. I'm still working on Empire of the Damned. I think I'm gonna finish today. We will see. This is what I'm gonna start off with. I've got my breakfast, got my tea, ready to kick off day 11. I finished. Wow. I feel a little traumatized from this book. It was great. It was great. But also like this was just a heavy read for me. The brutality of some of it and the gore was just next level compared to book 1. And honestly, it's not something I tend to have fun reading, but like I trust Jay Kristoff and his storytelling, and I love his characters. My heart was ripped out several times in this book. There were a few things that I predicted, which is kind of caught me by surprise because usually I don't predict Jay stuff, but there were an equal amount of oh shit and complete and utter shock as well. So like, you know, still very satisfied with that. This won't be one that I reread. You know what I mean? I don't think I'll reread it, but I will read book 3, and I cannot wait to see how this story wraps up with the final book. It's gonna be wild. So as far as my book bracket goes, I don't know what I'm gonna rate this one yet. Like as far as star rating, I don't know. I need to spend some time processing how this ended because I really don't know how to rate it. And yeah, that's where I'm at. So for the book bracket, this ended up against Thick with Trouble. As you can see, it's really hard to pick which one. These books couldn't be more opposite. Thick with Trouble is like the shortest book I read during this read-a-thon. This is Empire of the Damned was the longest book. And they both had me on different emotional journeys. But how I decided which one was going to win this game against each other, I had to ask myself which one would I reread. This didn't win. So Thick with Trouble goes on to the next round and lives to fight another day. So I have 2 spots left on my bracket, and I still have 3 days left. I am pretty excited. I think it's very likely I can finish filling up this bracket and having a winner for my March Madness readathon. I don't know, the day is young. I wonder if I can, the next 2 books I have planned are, you know, maybe shorter reads. I don't know. I am looking forward to a lighter tone though. It feels a relief to have finished this one. Like a burden has been off of me. That sounds bad, like I didn't have fun, because I did have fun reading it. Reading is complicated. Stories complicated. This book. Wow. That's all. I think I'm gonna go make a tea and then dive into something very light and fun next. Oh my gosh, this was exactly what I needed after Empire of the Damned. It was so fun and cute and light. Absolutely loved it. It gave me Wednesday vibes, like her, small pilgrim-esque town with a history that may not be accurate history, except for instead of it being Wednesday Adams, it's a witch. That's totally what this made me think of. There's also this little cat in here that talks to our main character, and this was just so funny and heartwarming and cute. It's a story about mother-daughter relationships, and loved it. 5 stars. I will be reading the next one right away.
Dinner, sir.
Thanks. After I eat my pizza. Gotta stay fueled up for Read-A-Thon. Also, something super ironic is the main character in this one. Her name is Moth. Like, how random for me to read 2 books during this Read-A-Thon where the main character's name is something as peculiar as Moth. Like, you can't plan those things. Coincidences like that happen all the time when I read, and it's crazy. It's a lovely new day for the March Madness Read-A-Thon. Yesterday was day 11, and I finished with 47 hours total reading time so far for this Read-A-Thon. I completed 3 books. I finished Empire of the Damned. I started and finished book 1 and book 2 of the OK Witch graphic novels. I put both of these titles on my book bracket since they were part of a series and I read them back to back and they were really quick. I will say book 1 I liked so much more. I gave it 5 stars, whereas the second book wasn't as original and it lost some of that witchy atmosphere that I loved so much in book 1. So the OK Witch and the Hungry Shadow, I only gave it 3 stars. Absolutely loved book 1, but I put those both on the book bracket as one to go against the next. And then I started Everybody Looking, and I'm about this far into it, so I still have a pretty good ways to go with this one, but it is going quick. I'm already really enjoying a lot. It's a novel in verse, and I think it's going to be a coming of age type story for our character as she goes to college. Yeah, so today I'm going to do some beta reading and read more of Everybody Looking. Then I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to start next. I have a few possibilities. I want to read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. It just came out. So I have an audio book of that through Spotify. And then I also want to start An Education in Malice, which is the Live with Coco and She April book club pick. And then I also want to start Mermaids Never Drown, which is a mermaid anthology, and that's my pick for our next round of the Traveling Bookkeepers, which is a postal book club that I do with the bookkeepers community. So those are the 3 that are on deck, and I'm just going to kind of let my mood go from there. Oh, I did read a little bit of Don't Be a Drag last night as well. I forgot about that one. I read that in bed as well. So I am making my way through that one. I think I'm about 40% in, but I'm mostly reading that on the Kindle in bed. So I don't know if I will finish that one through this read-a-thon, but I am reading some of it as we go. So yeah, that's basically my plans today. I'm going to kick it off with a little bit of beta reading and then get curled up with some other books. we've made it. We are at the end of the March Madness Read-A-Thon. This was so fun. I think this is going to have to be a thing every year because I loved it. And it made it to where me and Derek were both just like equally excited for the days that he had games because those were days that I got to read. I filled out my whole book bracket, read, oh gosh, how many books did I finish? 9 books finished. I forgot to do a recording on day 13 to give you an update on day 12. So day 12 ended with 51 hours. And then day 13, which was yesterday, it was the solar eclipse and we had 100% totality here where we're at in Arkansas. So I just barely had time to record anything or read. What I ended up doing, I did read some because I ended the total readathon final time was 53 hours and 14 minutes, which is amazing. So I ended up finishing Everybody Looking, and I started the audiobook for Just for the Summer, which is so cute, and I love how that one starts. So I will tell you a little bit about those and then go through a wrap up of how we finished out this readathon and these book brackets. So Everybody Looking was the novel and verse that I was reading by Candace Ilo. That one I ended up only giving it 3.25 stars. I was here for it. I was very much enjoying it. It's a novel in verse and the story is about a girl who is moving away from her family and going to a historically Black college and kind of getting that distance from her parents and being an 18-year-old and getting to make decisions for herself and finding independence. I was really here for all of those themes. It did have some heavier topics within it, which again, I tend to read books that have heavier topics, so that's like not an issue for me. I really liked the format of this one, and it was told in a non-linear way. So we had our college chapters, but then in between college chapters we would have flashback chapters, and they would sometimes go out of order. So we would get a 6th grade and then we'd go back to college, and then we would get like a 1st grade and then we would go back to college and so forth. I thought that was very fun and just different than what a lot of authors do structurally. So I think that was neat to see and I liked it. The reason I ended up giving it a lower rating is because I felt like the book ended right when we were just getting started. We had gone through the heavier themes of the book and I felt like our character was on the precipice of this self-discovery and to become who they were going to be and really find themselves, and I was just craving about 100 more pages to really flesh that out and get to see that character live and be themselves. So I was just disappointed. I needed more pages. It felt like this story was unfinished. And maybe that was intentional to leave it open to reader speculation. But for me, it just left me wanting more. So on that final bracket, which I'll post here so you can see it, it went against The OK Witch and Book 1 and Book 2. Because I love The OK Witch Book 1 the most, it won in this round. So therefore, The OK Witch and Moth ended up being my final 2. And I had to give it to Moth because I loved that book. How ironic that my 2 final books in the final round both had main characters named Moth. That is crazy. You can't plan this kind of stuff. That's just wild. But Moth is the champion. And I actually got a physical copy from the library just in time to show you. So this is the winner for my March Madness breakdown. Absolutely loved it. Recommend. I will be thinking about this book probably all year and plan on buying it as well. So second place was The OK Witch. And I don't know how to go back in reverse order at this point. But then these are just a recap of the other books I read. The Woodland Hedgehog, Big Tree, A Fate Inked in Blood, The OK Witch and the Hungry Shadow, Everybody Looking, and the one I'm most proud to have finished, this massive book, Empire of the Damned, which after I've sat with it for a few days, I did decide my final rating for this book for me personally is a 3.75 stars. And that is more reflective of my own personal taste as a reader, not necessarily that it was badly written, because I think it's written brilliantly. But as a personal rating, 3.75, because it was heavy and I did not have as much fun as I like to have. That said, I am super excited to read the final book in that series. But this was absolutely epic, and I hope you had fun watching it and going along on this emotional reading journey with me. And can't wait to see how much time I log in my next readathon. This will be a number to try to beat.